everyone. Welcome to Hyperfixation Time. I'm Danny.
And I'm Erin.
We've been best friends since the second day of kindergarten, and this is the podcast where we drag each other and you down the rabbit holes we can't stop thinking about. Each week, one of us brings a surprise topic to the table, and together we dive into the weird, the wild, and the wonderfully random. From interesting animals to macabre mysteries to just curious human behavior, nothing is off limits. And we're learning right along with you. So let's catch up and then jump into this week's hyperfixation.
Woohoo!
So,
Oh, that
Erin.
was like voice crack.
Oh.
Sorry. I was like, woohoo! Okay.
So, Erin, before we get into anything, I actually have something that I wanted to add.
Oh God, okay. I'm scared.
Gosh, you shouldn't be scared. I just had some notes about last week's episode
Okay.
that I wanted to add. I talked about the Sheboygan Asylum,
Yes.
and I actually texted this to you as well, but, very shortly after we recorded that episode, I just happened to stumble upon an entire podcast episode about that exact same place.
Ooh.
So for anybody listening that might be interested in learning a little bit more, it was season 2, episode 2 of Haunted Road with Amy Bruni. And I guess she used to be on the show Ghost Hunters.
Oh,
So
okay.
like her podcast is all about just going to different places and exploring, and then she interviews like somebody that's local to the area and knows a lot about the place or is just connected to the place somehow. But I thought it was a
Cool.
really interesting episode. It did a really good job of like exploring the history of the Sheboygan Asylum. And I think that this interview took place before it was changed into a haunted attraction, because I know I talked about
Oh,
that a little bit.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting just to kind of learn a little bit about the place before it's become this commodity that it is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then that sparked a bunch of curiosity in me, and I actually looked at the website for the haunted attraction, and they have this like tab on the website that's like the story or whatever. And so I feel
Oh,
like
the lore.
if you go on there and you read this little article that they wrote, this blog post, you think that you're reading the history of this place. But I just wanted to put
Yeah.
out there that all that stuff on there is completely false information.
Oh my gosh.
And
Okay.
yeah, and it's just like it's an
Fake news.
interesting story, but it's not real history.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I just want to put that out there. Like, don't just believe, everything that you read online, because they use like
Mm-hmm.
some of the true history, and then they use that to like start the story off, and then they just
Sure.
make up their own tale that fits into this haunted attraction. You know what I mean?
And do they say that they're doing that or
No,
no?
not
Okay.
at
I was
all.
like,
That's why I
maybe
was
it
like,
was
I
like
just want to put this out there.
maybe it was like based on a true or like based on this story or something, and
hmm
then they kept going. Okay, interesting. Well, I'll have to check
Um,
out that episode.
Yeah, and then I guess that there's an entire episode of Kindred Spirits, which is this same podcast host's show, in
Okay.
season 6, episode 10. I haven't watched it yet, but I guess that entire episode is about this place too, so I'm very curious about it.
Sweet. Let's
hmm
learn some more about it. All right. So, one more thing that Danny and I wanted to kind of talk about, just because we are a new podcast and people may be finding us with whatever episode that they see or might be interested or searching for. We are trying to do a layout where we kind of catch up first for the week, like just with our personal lives. We take a few minutes to then talk about like what our hyperfixation of the week is, currently. Again, also sort of random, but smaller topics, maybe not ones that are going to be a full episode. And then we'll get into the main topic from there. So just wanted to kind of call out that structure. Let us know if you have any ideas or if you think feedback in general. Again, we're a new podcast, so we're figuring this out and it's getting there.
Yeah, I'd love
So,
to know if anybody has like a favorite segment from the episodes. Like if somebody's like, you guys shouldn't be educating us on anything at all. Just cut out the entire format of your show and just talk about yourselves. Just kidding. But
and we'll just not record these. We'll just talk
yeah, that's fine.
ourselves
We
or
can do
something.
that. But
Or
no,
like if you're
just
like, I don't really care about what you guys have going on in your personal
yeah.
life, then that's fine too. So
And obviously everybody's going to have different things that they
yeah.
prefer, but I'd just be interested to hear what people like.
Yeah, same. So, with that being said, let's jump into sort of catching up for the week with each other. So,
Mm-hmm.
what's been going on with you, Danny?
Oh, well, I've been very busy with photo shoots. It's just like busy season. It's getting a little bit crazy. I feel like, I'm editing every day, like way too many pictures every single day, staying up late to do that and everything. But it's like a fun, good type of busy. Some highlights from some like recent photo shoots is just seeing wildlife during my photo shoots.
Oh,
And yeah, I knew you would appreciate that, so I wanted to bring it up. But like that's one of my favorite parts about, doing photography outside. And I feel like the animals just come out at the time that I'm shooting at. And I think it's because it's like during sunset, the animals are a lot more active or something.
yeah, like
Um,
you said, golden hour is typically
yep.
what you like to tell people, like we gotta, do the photo shoot at this time. So that would make sense for some of those animals coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So like recently I've seen some deer. One of my
Mm.
seniors picked up a snake during his photo shoot. I thought that was hilarious. I got some pictures of it
Fun.
too. And then
Nice.
I had a senior that was doing like fishing photos and he actually caught a fish
Oh,
during the session. So
that's
that was really
cool.
fun. Like literally he casted his fishing rod and immediately just caught a fish. So it was really
Dang,
cool.
all right.
And then probably my favorite was I took some pictures in this area that had like a ton of flowers, and
Mhm.
there were so many hummingbirds buzzing around. I have never seen
Oh,
that many hummingbirds in my life, and they were like, like this close to me, like right in front of my face. They would go zipping past your ear, and you would just hear it.
yep.
It was honestly magical. And
Could you tell if
basically,
they were like all the same kind of hummingbird, or
oh
was it
gosh.
a mix? They probably were too fast to like just zoom by you, like
Yeah,
you
I know
said.
they were really small. Like they just
Okay.
seemed really tiny to me, but they were all kind of, like a bluish green color, I would
Okay.
say.
Yep.
I don't really know
Okay.
my hummingbird types that
I
well.
don't I don't either, but I know like I don't I think in terms of just like were there multiple different looking ones? Like are there
Mm,
different species in one or was it just all sort of one? But who
yeah.
knows?
But it was a really cool moment. And then sometimes outside on my balcony here, there's actually hummingbirds. So
Oh,
I got a
cute.
hummingbird feeder now so that hopefully they come around even more. And I'm just so
All
excited about it.
right. Oh, that's fun. I love
Hmm.
that. I know. I really need to get one of those too.
They're my
I
favorite. It
just
feels like a magical moment every time I see one.
Yep. Yep, I agree. And one thing I've been doing is I have like a little ledge outside of my office window.
Hmm.
So lately I've been putting bird seed like along the ledge. And so all these birds keep coming like, to eat. And I get to like watch them while I'm working or just kind of see what variety of birds we have around here. It's
That's
fun.
such a good idea.
The other plus side is that my cats love it and get a ton of enrichment too from
Oh,
it because
that's cute.
they'll just like focus in and try to hunt but
Hmm.
obviously can't harm the bird so
Hmm.
yeah, so that's fun. I love seeing different wildlife and especially the rare ones, like a
Yeah.
hummingbird.
Yeah, it was really cool. What have you been up to? Oh, you went up to the cabin. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was up at my siblings' cabin last week for the full week, like Monday through Friday. I had sort of a slower week at work. We were transitioning things, and because of that, I was like, and because I can work remotely, we decided to go up north. And PJ took the whole week off. He's got more PTO than me, but I was working, until 5, and then yeah, we just really kind of went down to the lake. It's right along the lake, and then we went kayaking. He took his bike out. We brought it up as well, and just kind of hung out around the fire pit. It did rain a few times, but honestly, we were like okay with that too. So it's also
Yeah,
nice to just
cozy
also be
cabin
cozy.
vibes.
Exactly. So it was really nice. We brought our two dogs up too, and they loved it. Splashing around in the water and
Oh, cute.
everything. So they're so tired after, which is always a positive too. At least for
Hmm.
like, it tires them out, which is good. So yeah, that was my week. Really relaxing. I'm glad that we were able to just get away. And just wanted to say thank you to my sisters and brother-in-laws for letting us stay up there for the week. It was much needed. And yeah, it's such a great place. I hope, I don't know, it's just serene.
Hmm.
Best way I can describe it. So anyway.
Is there like stuff to do nearby at all, or is it pretty much you just stay at the cabin?
I mean, it depends on what you consider stuff to do. Like there's trails and stuff
Sure.
around, but it is pretty remote. The bigger town nearby is still like a 25 minute drive away. Um so in that town there's not a ton to do,
Hmm.
but one of the fun things to do there is there's this really cool like quirky vintage shop, and they have
Ooh.
it's full from like top to bottom with shelves and just everywhere and all the way in the back. It's just a whole store full of random little knickknacks and like I don't know, old school cameras or old school like record players and things like that too.
Hmm.
Actually, so this little cat thing here
Yeah.
is like a weird little cat statue that I have on the shelf behind me for people that are listening. It's just weird. It's got flowers painted on it, and I picked that up from that shop because I was just like,
Cool.
well, that's cute. So I like
Yeah.
going to things like that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you know
so it
I
was
love
good.
thrifting, so that sounds right up my alley.
Exactly. Yep. I thought of you when I walked in there too. So
Cool. Aaron, what have you been hyperfixating on this week?
So this week has been an exciting week
Hmm.
because I've been hyperfixated on the process and the fact that we have our first three episodes now, as of today that we're recording this, posted on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Woo!
It's so cool to see it like live. It's not perfect, and we learned in episode one that Danny and I are sort of a bit of perfectionists sometimes. So it's a little like I'll get there, guys. I
Hmm.
will. I'll get there with the editing, but I'm finding it really fun. I'm learning a ton again. Just and I'm just excited to see it, and
Hmm.
also like we keep saying, but I am just glad that we're doing this. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's fun to see the views go up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as we continue, and Danny's been killing it making reels and
Trying.
TikToks as well. You have been, and it's been really, really fun to see. So it's all coming together, which is
Hmm.
exciting
Hmm.
because we had some time and backup with the episodes from recording to posting just because of the learning curve. So, but we're there.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you've done an amazing job with editing, and like I know we want it to be perfect and there's like minor flaws, but I feel like they are such minor flaws, and like we've been texting like constantly nonstop with each other about this whole process. Um, it's just going to keep getting better, and I feel like
Mhm.
the feedback that we've had so far has been pretty positive from our friends and family, and it's just cool to see. How do you feel just like seeing yourself or hearing yourself, on Spotify and everything?
So it's actually it's uncomfortable a little bit to
Hmm.
hear myself, but I've been editing, so I've been hearing myself for a couple weeks. I'm just noticing all the little phrases and things that I say a lot,
I
and
know.
my voice that is in my I mean we all know this, but like the voice in my head does not sound like the recording that I'm listening to, but
Yeah.
it's it's fine. I I really just think that like it's just something that we're gonna keep again just keep getting better at. So
Hmm.
it's interesting to, and I just like seeing like our little logo of the
Yeah.
raccoon and the owl on Spotify or
Yep.
wherever. And just as a reminder, in case people didn't listen to the first episode, we chose those animals to represent each of us. So I'm the raccoon and Danny's the owl. Just we love those animals, number one, but we also both have them tattooed on us.
Hmm.
So we just kind of felt like it was a cute little fun thing. So I drew that up. And yeah, so it's a fun little logo. It's cool to see.
Whenever
It's surreal.
whenever I'm like making the reels and TikToks, I try to imagine the raccoon and the owl with those voices.
I
I don't know,
know.
like I'm like, oh yeah, look at there's the raccoon saying this part and here's the owl saying this part. Um,
Maybe one day we'll be able to like animate them to
I know. I
like
know there's so much to learn and do, and yeah, but
yeah.
I think it's been really cool. Like this is definitely um what do you say? Like lit a fire under me to just be like inspired again to do this. Not that I lost inspiration, but it's just like, it just really helps build that momentum again and make me feel so excited that we're doing this project, and seeing it all come together is just so cool. And for me, I hadn't heard some of those conversations in a long time. So it was kind of cool to just like get refreshed, and I don't know, it's just interesting to hear where we were at that time, even though that was only a couple months ago. So I think this is going to be a really cool time capsule for us to look back on years from now. And it's kind of like journaling in a way. It's like, oh, that's what I was up to at that time. That's pretty cool. Um, and it's just interesting to hear myself and you in an entire conversation. Like, I don't think I've recorded an entire conversation I've had before and listened back to
Yeah,
it. Like maybe once,
why
but
would you, you know?
yeah. Um, and so it's just interesting to hear that. Like, I feel like anytime, I have videos of myself, it's just like little clips here and there.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Yeah, so you've been finding it kind of surreal too, but yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Like it's just kind of I've been like so heads down focused on editing since it
Hmm.
released because it just was so fun to like see it. So I'm glad.
Man,
Thank you for your patience
of
with me as
course.
well as I got to that point.
I feel like you have to be so annoyed listening to those conversations at this point with how many times you've probably listened to the same thing over and over and over again. Because
Yep.
even just making the reels and TikToks for me, I'm like, okay, I already know this fun fact about crows. I've heard this 10 times.
Yes, I do feel that way. I'm like I could almost recite each episode word for
Hmm.
word from start to begin. No, I'm just kidding.
You're
But
going to be
like
so knowledgeable.
yeah, but yeah, it's a lot to sort of or hear yourself going through that and
Hmm.
just yeah over and over again. But it's fun. It's good.
Yeah.
So has that been your current hyperfixation of the week too, or did you have another one?
I do have another one for you.
Cool. All right.
But obviously that is a hyperfixation for sure. But
Yeah.
the one I wanted to talk about today was Amanda Knox. Are you familiar with this whole
Yes.
situation? Okay.
Yes.
Somehow this went under the radar for me for apparently years. I had no clue that this happened, but recently with different podcasts I listened to, had been hearing her name come up several times. Um, and so then I became curious, like more curious about this situation that happened with her. And so I got hyper fixated on it. And the first thing that I watched was the documentary on Netflix. For anyone listening, Amanda Knox is, I don't know, she's like 5 years older than us or so. She is a woman that went to college and she studied abroad in Italy in like 2007. And she was only there for like a few weeks, and she had some roommates. And one of them was another foreign exchange student from England. And anyways, Amanda Knox, found a relationship really quickly. So she had a boyfriend named Raphael, and tragically, her roommate was murdered. Um, and she came home to it. She found her roommate, but she ended up she didn't take the blame. She was blamed for this murder, and was like falsely convicted for it. She was coerced giving into admitting guilt.
False
Yeah,
confession. Yeah.
yeah, a false confession. And so was her boyfriend, Raphael. So they ended up both doing about 4 years in prison in Italy before those convictions were overturned. And
Mhm.
there's, a lot more details to the situation, but that's the basic gist of it. So first I watched the documentary on Netflix, thought it was so interesting and, sad. And then I listened to her podcast interview with Monica Lewinsky. Have you ever listened to that
Okay.
one? Monica
No, but
Lewinsky's
I know
podcast?
no,
Reclaimed,
I
that's what it's
haven't
called.
listened to it. Reclaimed. Yes. So it
Hmm.
feels like
Yeah.
they both are reclaiming or something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the perfect person to
Oh,
interview her, you
yes.
know?
It was such a good episode. I highly recommend it. It was so interesting. And then after that, I watched the show that's now on Hulu, which is actually apparently current because there's still like one or two more episodes coming out. So are you
Okay,
watching that?
I did the exact same thing because
Oh, okay. Of
she
course.
was on yeah, I know. Gosh, we're so interesting. We she was on Armchair Expert and I
Amanda
listened
Knox
to that.
was?
Yeah. Yep, a couple
Oh,
weeks
I have
ago.
something else to listen to now. How
Yep, I
exciting.
know. I'm surprised you haven't. Yeah, because she's kind of doing the rounds because of
Hmm.
this Hulu show. And I started it shortly
Hmm.
after, and I was like hooked. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, the next episode didn't play, and I'm like, wait a second.
That
And
same
I
thing
looked, and I'm
happened to
like,
me.
oh my God, it's
I
still
was
on
so
right now.
upset.
Like, maybe I wouldn't have started it until, at least
Right?
a few more episodes were out or
Right?
something. But it's really good.
The last episode that just came out, I was sobbing, to be
I don't
honest.
know if I've seen it yet. I'm a little
Okay.
behind now,
There was a
but
couple there was a couple points that made me cry and I was just like, "Oh
oh
my gosh."
man.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's been my hyperfixation. I just find this case so interesting and sad and scary. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of details there.
Hmm.
Yeah, language barriers, like even just like American slang is a topic in it, like how we say
Hmm.
certain things versus the Italians. And yeah, go watch something or listen to an episode on it because it's super interesting, and I just feel bad for both of them. And the
Yeah,
roommate, of course, the victim,
right.
like tragic and horrible
Hmm.
murder. It's an interesting story for sure.
100% it could easily be an entire episode that we do.
I I
But
was gonna say that.
but I also feel like it's kind of one of those things that there's a ton of content out there already and it's just like, I don't
Yeah,
know. We don't need to
might be.
rehash all the stuff that everybody else is already saying, but maybe later.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
You go, my topic today is
Amanda Knox. That'd be so. Oh, yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be Sim.
oh yeah,
That's
from
what
Armchair
Monica always
Anonymous.
says.
Or
Yep.
I am really excited to hear what your topic is today because you've been telling me that you're researching and that you got so interested in your research that you ended up staying up late and all that. So I'm super curious and excited to hear it.
I am excited to tell you about it because, well, actually, first, let me just tell you something kind of funny.
Okay.
So of course, I've been busy with work stuff, and I did this all last night before we recorded today. I did all my research and wrote everything up, but afterwards, it was like late at night, and I had to let my dog out, and PJ's downstairs playing video games with our other dog, so I let my dog out, and it's late, so she starts barking and running at the fence in our backyard. And I feel so bad for like neighbors and stuff when that happens. Like other people's dogs do it, but like for some reason, so I like ran out and was just like trying to calm her down and just being like, hey, like, no barking or whatever, to get her to stop because it was just so late. And she was like right against the fence, which is right by the neighbor, all of that. So ran out to just my first reaction. Okay. Then I like turn around. She's like sniffing and stuff. I turn around, I'm like, oh my God, I'm really scared to be out here right now. Like, because I just
Because of all your research.
Because I just done all this research, and I was like, oh my God, like, because it was dark, obviously, and our floodlight didn't come on for some reason. So I just like scared, ran inside, and then let her back in when she came up to the door. So that was just funny. I didn't realize it affected me until that moment
It's
as
funny,
much.
yeah. So, like, if you guys haven't guessed yet, October is spooky month for us. Like, that is our
Yes.
plan.
Yep. And we were talking about how it won't be the last month that we'll have spooky topics, I'm sure, but we just wanted to focus this month, each of our topics to be on the spooky side.
So I apologize if that's not your thing, but it's our thing. So
Yeah, it is.
that's what
Yep.
we're talking about.
So without further ado, today, actually, so I brought up my topic in your episode last week, and that's what kind of triggered this hyperfixation, which was the school I went to, UW Whitewater, and how it's known as the second Salem.
Ooh, all right. I'm
So-
excited.
Yeah, so I went to UW Whitewater. At the time, I remember learning about this and just like rabbit holes for sure, about the whole thing. And then when we were talking about it last week, I was like, wow, I really don't remember a lot of the details. Like, that was so interesting. I just remember, again, I don't hate that we keep saying hyperfixation, but I did
Well, that's
honestly,
why it's called that.
I did honestly hyperfixate on it in college, like probably when I was supposed to be doing a paper or something. But anyway, Whitewater, Wisconsin is known as the second Salem. So, for those of you who don't know, Whitewater is a mostly college town with the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater within it. It's located about 1 hour from Madison and 1 hour from Milwaukee. I misspoke on that. I said 2 hours. But
Okay.
so pretty much between two bigger cities, just a little further south. Madison is west of Whitewater, Milwaukee's east. So when you think of witches in America, your brain probably jumps to Salem, Massachusetts, and the trials, 1690s witch trials, hysteria, Puritan nightmare kind of situation that happened during that time. But Whitewater, a lot of people don't know, is known as that second Salem. So
Interesting.
yeah. So part one, to sort of understand this, and this is where I really was diving into the details for a long time last night, is in order to understand why Second Salem is called, or why Whitewater is called Second Salem, we have to understand somebody named Morris Pratt. Okay. So he helped contribute to the spooky reputation, and why Whitewater got its haunted title in the first place. All right.
And you were
So,
able to find like a lot of information about this? Because remember how last week
yeah.
I was saying I was struggling to find information about all my haunted places?
Yeah, I found various pieces. Some of them were like other articles that other people wrote about it, but like had quoted it, and then I was able to find that. So, quoted from the
That's how you
paper
went
at the
down the
time.
rabbit hole.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
One thing led me to another, and so on. And yeah, so that having that, and like I even saw some like, newspaper clippings at the time too. So it was kind of cool to see. Or like we'll talk
Oh
about
yeah,
the
that's
gravestones
interesting.
too. So, all right. So Morris Pratt and the history of him and everything around that. He was born in 1820 in a town in Massachusetts, not Salem. He was like 2 hour and 45-minute what would be a drive today from Salem.
Okay. But you took some inspiration
Yeah, I
from
mean, I was like,
his home.
maybe. So he's one of 10 kids. And side note, so their family grew up alongside the Oneida Native American tribe, which likely exposed him and his family to religious spiritualism early on. Native Americans have very, very connected to spiritualism. Then the family decided to move to Albany, New York when he was about 10, just to be closer to family. Later on, this was around the time, of course, when people were trying to find, like, you start in one place and you kind of find where you go from there based on what other people travel to. So later, most of the family moved out west after a mass exodus of settlers in like the 1838 or 1841, and moved to Whitewater. So 10-ish years go by, the family, settled, and they have money now, essentially.
Okay.
Morris is in his 30s. The family starts buying land around, farming land, building houses. He got married at this age to Mary Jane Austen. And unfortunately, she was 16 and he was like
of course.
29, 30.
Of course.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what is that? Yeah, it is 16. Okay. So she was from the township of Lima, Wisconsin, but originally from Albany. So they kind of connected on that, I guess, really. Mary Jane and Morris Pratt and the family then they would still travel back to Albany, New York, to visit family. They still had some people there. So every once in a while they would get back. Again, they have money now, so it was a little bit easier. So they go back to Albany, and this is where they really started to learn about the spiritualist movement. It was starting to really boom there, specifically when the Fox sisters came to town and conducted rapping demonstrations, seances, and lectures.
Wait, what's a rapping demonstration?
Okay, so that I'm glad you asked, because
Okay.
at first I was like, what does that mean? So I'll just sort of side note about what the Fox sisters did. They lived in a house and discovered that if they would ask a question, like knock 15 times, some spirit would knock, like rap they call like rapping on
Oh,
the
okay.
wall or something, knock on the door
Gotcha.
or the wall or someplace in the house. And then they claimed, like they could ask yes or no questions and like knock twice for yes whatever
Hmm.
their system was. And they sort of then traveled around with that. But when I first saw rapping demonstrations, I pictured 1850s people, you know, spitting some rhymes. Do people say that
Oh.
anymore? I don't know.
That
It's like,
kind of
dang,
rapping, that's funny.
yeah. But I was like, that can't be right. So I had to like look into
Can't
that
be
because
right.
yeah. Um, so anyway, they went to a demonstration of theirs and kind of came back reinvigorated with this like spiritualism. I do want to talk just really quick. What does spiritualism mean? Because it's a little different than just kind of like woo woo psychic, uh,
Sure.
it's still tied to religion. So
Hmm.
it's not necessarily here. Let me just pull this up quick. Okay, so the definition. So spiritualism at this time now was a religious and social movement built on the belief that spirits and the dead could and did communicate with the living. Okay. But they tied that to religion in the
Hmm.
afterlife. So there were mediums, there were different methods of how to do this. There were, psychic, I don't know, just a variety of people just connecting life after death. And it was a very appealing idea at the time. And again, kind of boomed because of the recent war that had happened. So a lot of people were connected to death, unfortunately, the Civil War. They also had epidemics and a high child mortality rate at that time. So spiritualism offered sort of some comfort and
Makes sense.
which is interesting because then in like the 1690s they kind of did, like the witches kind of did some of that stuff too and were Salem witch trials. So
Right.
then it changed later to being like maybe there is something to this. Moving on. So they get really interested in spiritualism. Okay, there is a local medium as well in Wisconsin, like where they lived. Her name was Cora Scott. So they attended one of her. It was just kind of like it was a network. They knew of people, but she did a demonstration there, and then the right in Whitewater actually was her demonstration. So they attended one of those. Mary Jane, so his wife, her mother dies in 1855, and they kind of think like this is just another sort of fuel to the fire of this interest in spiritualism and seances and all of that. So basically Morris then is inspired to open what he deemed the Temple of Science.
Mhm.
It's in Whitewater, or it was in Whitewater, I should say. By the winter of 1888, Morris Pratt's mysterious new building in Whitewater was nearly done, and an editor of the Whitewater Register got the honor of a private tour. So he was kind of doing this in secret, like not really disclosing what the building was going to be used for. Different reactions from locals that sort of trying to prevent that. But from the outside, it was pretty hard to miss. It was like a 3-story structure, very like modern for the time, roof and windows and verandas and all of that. Highly ornamented is what it was quoted as from the editor in the paper.
Okay.
So in
Is this,
that, oh, go ahead.
sorry, is this building still standing?
It is not.
Okay.
No. I do have a picture of it, so maybe we can post that. It's pretty decadent, actually. Decadent? Is that used for
Decadent.
food or is that
Uh, yes, but it made sense to me. I don't I don't know
oh,
if that is only for food.
okay. Yes, I
Sorry.
don't know either. Okay, I'll look that up. But anyway, it was a big deal, and the locals were kind of like, "What's going on in here?" So he got a tour. Inside, there was 2 apartments, one for Morris and Mary Jane, and then one for visiting teachers and guests. They had a lecture room. They even had like an all-white room as well, where we find out later they practiced seances. Uh,
Mm.
the locals were sort of again uneasy about it, just what are you bringing to our town? But the editor said he finally told the editor he hopes it may prove a useful factor in education morally, mentally, scientifically, and philosophically of that class of society that needs it most. In the end, the editor summed it up with sort of a cautious statement of let us give him the credit he deserves for making a splendid improvement which adds to the beauty and business of our city and of having done it without a selfish motive. So he built it all and designed it all and did everything for it.
So, what was his intent for this building exactly?
So they wanted to make a place for continuing to learn spiritualism.
Okay, so he wanted to bring people in to teach them about this?
But also they helped sort of do demonstrations and stuff too. Like
Okay.
they believed, yeah. But they were pretty, like, to be honest, when this building went up, he was like late 60s. So I think he's getting up there in terms of age, especially for that time. So he more so kind of relied on bringing in those people. He wanted a place for them in the city for those lectures and all that to happen, where people of Whitewater could learn more about it and
Gotcha.
educate basically on that. So the locals had a couple of names for this building once they sort of kind of knew what it was about. Again, it was kind of like just mysterious for a while, but they called it Pratt's Folly and Spook's Temple.
Okay.
So this goes on for a couple of years. He then tries to sell this building and like this institution essentially to investors. They say no. So then he's like, okay, well then I'm going to make it, before I die, basically, I'm going to make it like a full institution. He ended up getting a bunch of money. He heard from a medium to invest in some land for mining, and then it didn't turn out very well, and then she was like, just wait, and then it like was a huge sort, like it's almost like struck gold kind of thing, but for iron. So anyway, that's how he ended up getting a lot of his money.
Interesting.
He just really believed in this. He listened to this medium, even though he invested in this land. It didn't work for a few years. Then it did. So everything just keeps adding fuel to that fire. So before he dies, he signs over the Morris Pratt Institution. He doesn't have kids, or they don't have kids, and basically says like it's to like an investor. You can have this as long as it continues to be a source of education in the world of spiritualism.
Okay.
Then he is buried in Hillside Cemetery. That's going to be important later, so remember Hillside.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Also, Mary Jane was buried there too. So they both, when they passed away, they both were buried in Hillside Cemetery.
Okay.
All right.
Is that the cemetery that you mentioned last week that you walked by?
We'll get there.
Sorry, I'm always spoiling, getting ahead of myself.
No, I love it. You're very intuitive with this stuff. It's
that
perfect.
calls back to episode 1.
And exactly. So, it basically, after he died, it became a little bit more structured, a little less woo-woo.
Okay.
But essentially, this building was used for a ton of seances, a lot of just mystical things, a lot of what would be considered woo-woo nowadays.
Wait, and did you say who bought it?
It was an investor.
Okay, just an investor.
So it just kind of, an investor. Like he first got denied, and then when he was about to die, then they were like, okay, we'll buy it. What do you think it would have been like to live in a house that doubled as like a seance center? Would it be like, would you be down, or would you be like, no thanks?
I mean, I would err on the side of no thanks.
Yeah, I know.
Even if, nothing's happening, that just feels creepy. I'd prefer to live somewhere else.
If it had that history, if you knew that it was too,
Oh, yeah.
then you wouldn't. Yeah.
I actually, what was it? I think I asked Dwight recently, like, if you found out that a house, like, there was a murder that took place there, would you want to live in it, or like would that bother you at all?
Yep.
I'm trying to remember what he said. Well, it wouldn't necessarily 100% make me say no. Like if it's like my dream house and it had this history, like I might be fine with it, or like I don't know, I guess it would depend on the details. But let's say that there was 2 houses that were the exact same, you know what I mean? And one had the murder. I'm obviously going to choose the other one.
Yeah. Yep.
I think it has like some, some influence.
Well, and you said last time you're a little bit more skeptical of like spirits and ghost stuff, right?
Yeah, I would say and I think, I don't know if I explained this fully last week, so maybe now is a good time to put this out there, but I do err on the side of, logic with this.
Mhm.
Like, I just feel like any haunting probably has an explanation.
Okay.
Even stuff that has happened to myself, it's like, I don't know, there's probably some sort of explanation with that I just don't know. And like that's the thing is
Okay.
like sometimes we just don't know what the explanation is, or like it's hard to figure that out. And then our memories kind of, I feel like, probably exaggerate what happened even more and more. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does. I feel like because then how you remember it, it may not be 100%. You may like add on to it, like, yeah, exaggerate.
Mm-hmm.
And your memory then gets like changed essentially
Right.
of what the actual details were.
And I think also something that happens a lot with humans is we put too much emphasis on coincidences. So,
Mm.
like, let's just say, for example, your story that we talked about last week with your sister's room and,
Hmm.
the radio turning on and it was your grandma's favorite song. Um,
Hmm.
that could just be a crazy coincidence. And
Yeah.
coincidences happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes
Hmm.
we just put too much emphasis on those things
Yeah.
and feel like there has to be some greater meaning behind it, even though
Hmm.
there might not be. That being said, I don't want this to sound like I'm like fully a skeptic either, because like I said, I am afraid of it.
Yeah.
That's the logical side of me that thinks all of those things. And then over here's the feeling side that finds it all very scary.
So then when you said like if there's a haunting, you feel like there's a reason, you just don't know the reason. Or like a scenario that happens, you're like, yeah, there's something to explain this, but I
Hmm.
just don't know what it is.
Hmm.
Couldn't one of those reasons be like a spirit
Oh,
world, do you think?
sh
Or are you thinking more of like a humanly
yeah, no,
or
I'm more
yeah,
thinking of like, you hear noises coming from upstairs and you're like, oh my gosh, there's nobody up there. But there could be a squirrel jumping around or something. I don't know.
yeah. Okay.
That's kind of more so what I mean.
Sure.
Um, and I just feel like if the ghost world was as real as a lot of people believe it to be, I don't know. I think I mentioned this last week where it's like if I saw an actual full apparition, like I saw a full ghost walking down the hall, I would be ruined for the rest of my life. And I feel like there's not enough people out there in this universe that are ruined from that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I
it
don't
doesn't
understand
traumatize
how,
them like it would
yeah,
you.
I don't understand how you live your daily life after having an experience like that.
Okay. See, and I would approach it with curiosity as long as it was not evil.
Sure.
Um, I also, because I'm more, that's one, here's one difference we have, Danny,
Ooh.
as I do believe more in like
Uh-huh.
at least just some sort of supernatural something that
Mhm.
happens that we just may not be able to see. I mean, and or may not be able to explain with the knowledge that we
Mhm.
have. No, and I just think like for me, if I did see a ghost or something, if it was relatively like just normal or
Mhm.
relative, just not. Maybe they look a little scary, but like they're not hurting anything. They're just kind
Mhm.
of what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like benign, I guess, or
Sure. Calm
I
or
don't.
I don't know.
Yeah, just very like non-threatening, I think is the
Yeah.
best word I can say. Then I'd probably approach it with more curiosity, and that would probably lead me to be one of those, maybe one of those people that like gets a bit further and further into it as you keep.
Sure.
I don't know, but you're right because memory is a tricky thing too. It could be, and
Yeah, I don't
it
know.
could be anything. Anyway,
And I also just wanted to say, like, I do think there's a lot about the world that we don't know. And I
yeah.
talked about this in like the crows episode, right? Where it's like
Hmm.
we don't know everything. There's so much to learn yet. I
Yeah.
think that there's a lot that happens in this universe that isn't necessarily scientific, but
Hmm.
it is real. I guess
Yeah.
I just don't know about the idea of ghosts being part of that,
Yeah.
and part of this is I get very existential. I have
Okay.
a lot of big existential thoughts and crises all the time.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And when I think of ghosts, I feel like that almost puts humans at the center of the universe, and I don't think that we are the center of the universe. And this is
Mm-hmm.
this is
Okay.
getting a little crazy, and I'm sure I'm losing
Okay.
some people here, but
It's all right.
I just think of like the universe being so big, and there's definitely life in other, I don't know, on other planets that we just don't know about yet, and that
Mm-hmm.
life is not humans. And so, like, do they
Yeah.
have ghosts too on their alien planet?
I don't know.
Again, I'm losing people here, but there's
Let me
your
go
alien in the
ask
background.
my ask my friend. I'm not trying to say that like you think we have everything solved in the
Yeah,
world for sure. I'm definitely not trying to imply that because we definitely do not
yeah,
have a lot of things figured out in this world. I just was curious to learn, like,
yeah.
kind of dive a little bit deeper into
It's a
like your,
conversation.
yeah, the ghost side of things. So,
And I would be open. Like,
okay.
it's just, I'm full of controversies. My head is going back and forth between a lot of different things. Um, I would be open and like I don't think it's necessarily I'm open to the idea if something were to happen in front of me, I'm not necessarily going to be like, no, that wasn't go. I don't know. I'm not making sense.
No,
I'm going against everything I just said.
you're open to the idea, but either way, we don't know what it is right now at this state, like in this
Hmm.
point in humanity. You don't know if it is a ghost. You don't know if it's the squirrel on the,
Yeah.
roof. So,
I think sometimes it's just that people jump too quickly to
yeah.
ghosts where there
Hmm.
often can be an explanation.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
I think maybe that's the issue.
That makes sense. Yeah. And I think in this time, it was more just a sort of that they had a lot of death. And
Hmm.
so they wanted a connection to the afterlife a bit more during this time, which is why that the spiritualism became so popular.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but interesting conversation to have.
Sorry, that was a huge tangent, but
That was all
related.
right. Yeah, totally. Anyway, okay, so that's what you have to know about Morris Pratt. Morris Pratt Institute. He made this building. He had a younger wife, and they would teach, and mediums would come and teach courses or perform. The rapping was a thing. They did like tilt table. There's a whole list of things that was considered spiritualism to connect with the other side, really. So sometimes people believe that that brings a lot of energy to the area, right?
Hmm.
So there's the next part that we're going to talk about is called the Witch's Triangle. So this is the cemetery situation. So Whitewater, the city of Whitewater, has three major cemeteries. Okay, they are Oak Grove Calvary, which is the one on campus, and Hillside Cemetery. Now, if you triangulate them on a map, they make a perfect isosceles triangle. Okay, these three, it's the only three cemeteries in Whitewater, I think, even to this day.
Okay,
So
interesting.
because of this, and because they kind of had that background with the institute being there and the energies, the tale was it was called the Witch's Triangle, and in within that triangle, anywhere in that space, spirits could essentially move freely around. So they had almost like a portal to be able to just walk around, or just had a little bit more of like a welcome mat on
Hmm.
the on the front door, essentially. So one thing I have to say that's just funny is like, well, yeah, if you triangulate three cemeteries, like it'll make a
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
I think,
But
is it the fact that like, two sides are, that's an
yeah,
isosceles, right? Two sides are the
yeah,
same?
yep, yeah. And it's like perfectly, you can see it on a map.
Hmm.
So the one on the college campus was Calvary. And that's the one that I walked past all the time. And there's a lot of different things there. So, Hillside, just quick recap Hillside Cemetery is where the Pratts are buried. I did read a story that was kind of creepy, and now this is somebody's telling.
Hmm.
Uh, Her and her mom were walking their dog, I guess at night, and they were about to come up to Hillside Cemetery, and the dog just kind of froze and then started growling, and they were like, well, that's weird. And then the mom turned to her like, you should, I think that there's a storm coming. You should tell those kids up there we should probably tell them to like get inside quick or get back home. And then the daughter was like, what kids? And then the mom was like, the kids right there that are dancing, I'm sure that they're supposed to be at home.
Uh-huh.
Or they should at least soon. And the daughter was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so they were just not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Mom saw it, daughter didn't. Dog was freaking out. Mm. Then they walked over, didn't see them when they got up close, but they learned that that section of the cemetery that they were in was specific to babies and children. So connection there is what they say. So there's different myths too. So Oak Grove Cemetery is where Mary Worth is buried. She was a witch around this time and an axe murderess. So she was accused of a few different murders. And also she was a self-proclaimed witch. So when she was caught and was on her way to be executed, it is thought and said and rumored that she had cursed the town right before execution. And what's interesting about Mary Worth is that a lot of people believe that is where Bloody Mary comes from.
Interesting.
So like that whole story is, a lot of people believe.
What year did you say that she was executed?
Just says late 1800s.
Okay. I mean, that's
kind of around the time of like the Institute and all of that, because that went up in 1888, opened in 1889, and then, brought in a lot of people. So she was known as Bloody Mary, and there are other accounts of people saying that she wanders among the tombstones as well at night sometimes. Okay. So the last cemetery of the Isosceles Triangle, the Witch's Triangle, is Calvary, the one on campus. There's been a few different things there. I told you my story about walking past, and like so many times the lights would go out when we walked past. There's a lot of accounts from students for this particular cemetery. So in the 70s, during the week of Halloween, there was somehow in the middle of the campus mall. So this is the University of Wisconsin Whitewater at this time. In the middle of the campus mall was a dug up coffin of a recently buried little girl. Somehow moved, and she was from the Calvary Cemetery. People thought it was like a joke, like a Halloween thing, but they learned it was not. They didn't know how it got there or who did it or anything. Just spooky. And then even some local fishermen, added to the tale because they reported seeing unnatural floating lights right by the Calvary Cemetery the night before the coffin was found. Anyway, Calvary is also the final resting place of Nellie Horan. She's got an interesting story. So she was a school teacher. I believe it's all around the same time. These are the kind of people that the town attracts to this building. I mean, not everyone was a witch or anything, but there's quite a few people. She was a school teacher at a time, and she had a sister who had mysteriously died. While the death of her sister was being looked into, Nellie was arrested and charged for suspicion of poisoning her sister. Interestingly, they also then were like, wait, your father, mother, another sister, and this other random person that you are connected to also have died in the last 2 to 3 years, it was, of unknown circumstances. So people think that she poisoned everybody, all those people. Yeah, poisoned her whole family essentially, and she was put on trial for it and was eventually acquitted. And then there was this weird rumor for a while that she did confess on her deathbed, she took her own poison, was the story. And she confessed right before dying that, yes, I did kill my sister. But as far as I can read, it was just a rumor, because then the newspaper article said that she died of natural causes in her 70s. I don't know. So, but just, Nellie Horan, the poisoning murderer. I guess.
Okay, what year did you say that she did that?
I didn't say the year for that. It's all
Okay.
around the same time. Yeah, it's all around like
So
the
like
late
late
1800s.
1800s too?
Yeah.
It's interesting that there was two, well, I guess it was never confirmed that she did this.
I mean, she was acquitted of it, but it was all suspicion. Yeah, it was never
Okay.
confirmed.
I was just say it's interesting that there was two female murderers in town at that time.
Yep. Sketchy stuff going on. So the third part, so there's these three parts that make up why Whitewater is called the Second Salem. The Morris Pratt Institute, the Witch's Triangle, and then an eerie landmark that I also kind of talked about last episode, which is known as the Witch's Tower. That was also built around the same time. So 1888, 1889, which is the same year Pratt's temple was being built and opened up and everything. It was rumored to be the spot of where a lot of like rituals and seances would happen at the water tower. And then there was even like these well-known witches, and I didn't get into them too much, but there were these well-known witches that were said to have always just gone there for it. And so they put a fence around, but the like top of the fence with like the barbs were pointing inward, like towards the tower itself. So
Okay.
it fueled to the
To like
rumor
trap
that like
people in?
to trap the witches in or any spirits
Okay.
that they may have like summoned, essentially.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So do you also believe in witchcraft? Like, do you think that there's witches out there?
I do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, do you?
Okay, that was no.
Okay.
I'm
That's
sorry.
fair.
I would say I would believe in ghosts more than witches.
Okay, good to know. I think I might be the same, actually.
Okay.
But I think that there's such a spectrum of energy. And so some
Yeah.
people may have more energy towards that kind of thing. I don't necessarily like 100% believe in it, essentially, but
Okay.
I kind of do think that there are some people that are just kind of a little bit, maybe just that they're more open. And because of that, those things connect with them more.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess like what you're saying, like having like a gut feeling about something or like following your intuition. Like how many times you've heard people say like they just knew that they shouldn't go do this thing, and then there ended up being a mass there, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It could be coincidence, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could
Yeah.
100% be coincidence, and we put a
Yeah.
lot of emphasis on those things. And obviously, we're going to share the big coincidences versus the small coincidences that we don't mean
Yeah.
anything. But
Like day to day stuff. Yeah.
but I mean, we did talk about like energies with animals, and was
Yeah.
that last week that we were when were we talking about that?
I don't remember.
Oh, God, it's already
My brain
melting
is fried.
together.
I know.
Mine too. But I do hear what you're saying about that aspect of like energies and feeling your intuition and going off of stuff like that. I do think that there is some validity to that, but I guess I wouldn't tie that into like witchcraft. When I'm thinking of like witchcraft and even like modern witches, I don't know. It just feels like people want to be witchy, and so they do those things. And I feel like I'm losing people this episode. I
You're good.
getting worried
No.
about it.
No, I hear what you're saying. I do think that like there are people that definitely over exaggerate, or we talked about one time too about like how if a psychic says, something
right.
very vague, you'll be like, oh my God, she's so right because of this. Like you'll fill in the blanks even though she didn't say that. But I think for me, I think it's more, maybe it's just more energies, not necessarily witches. I
Right.
do think that some people are just a little bit more spiritually inclined, and honestly, whatever people want to do, as long as it's not hurting other people or animals
yeah.
or themselves, then do
Totally.
it.
Like
Go for it.
I think that you're right, and I would like to put that disclaimer out there. Like I don't care if you do that or if you believe
Yeah.
that for yourself. Like I'm not trying to say stop. I really don't care.
Yeah,
I just personally
absolutely.
don't believe in it. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I started thinking about horoscopes, but that's a whole nother tangent we don't need to go
I
down.
know. We're talking about aliens, astrology, witches, ghosts, all this episode.
I know. It's a lot. Hey, it's extra spooky, I guess. But okay, so this tower, a lot of rumors around it. Like I mentioned, the gate, what do you call them? Like the the
The barbed
gate.
fence you're talking
The
about?
it's
Or
not, yeah, but I think of like barbed wire fence when I say that, but I
mm-hmm.
guess it's not. So the barbed fence pointing inward. It's also smack dab in the middle of the witch's triangle. So they
Mm.
also felt like it. They went there for the energy there because it was in the middle of this also open area essentially for
Okay.
spirits and anything like that. I did go up to the witch's
Ooh.
tower a couple of times. Usually around Halloween. It is kind of just creepy, but that
Right.
also could just be like if for campus right now, it's in sort of a random spot, kind of like tucked
Yeah.
away. But it just kind of, I don't know. There's a weird vibe there, or maybe I'm
Mm-hmm.
just filling in the blanks. It's actually the second oldest functioning water tower in Wisconsin as well. With it being built in the same year, that just added on to more of like what they thought was the energy of
Mm-hmm.
that whole area. Yeah, keeping spirits in or the witches in.
I don't know. I bet there's like a connection with it just being like you said it's a water tower, right? And like
Yeah.
water provides life and gives energy, so I could
Yeah.
see that correlating with witches.
Yeah. Like just it all kind
It
of
being an energy
aligns.
source or something.
Yes. Various different kinds of energy sources then. Maybe it's
Hmm.
like the main point where you get the most of it. And so between Pratt's Temple, the cemeteries, and the Witch's Tower, the area just has this like spooky history of being haunted, essentially.
Hmm.
A couple of really quick things that add to this, just kind of fun ones that I thought were interesting, is there's apparently a Whitewater lake monster.
Oh,
Um, so with that one, it was some fishermen said that they were pulled under by some tentacled creature. So
oh,
you're a nightmare.
yeah, that would be.
And they came out of the water with like small bite marks all over them. Like they pulled them
Okay.
down and then they escaped and had bite marks all over them. And then a few years later, well, actually, this was like in the 90s, so quite a while later, just this lake in general, and I think also to your point of water being an energy source, some students that lived in a house on the lake reported seeing people in like hooded black capes chanting,
Oh.
dancing, leaving behind bones, and even like saying that all of a sudden fog would roll in,
Hmm.
and just kind of just all adds to the lore of the place. So Lake Monster was kind of a funny one. Obviously, I don't believe in that one, but um,
You say obviously.
the
I don't know if it's obvious.
yeah, you're right. Okay. The other fun one is the tunnels. So it's rumored that during the time of the Morris Pratt Institute, the witches and mediums there they actually had like an underground tunnel system. And it was thought that even there was a tunnel system that went from the Institute to the Witch's Tower too. So I remember reading that I think it was also in the 90s, some students living in like a house that was converted to apartments or whatever you want to
Hmm.
say. There was something that happened and some of the foundation kind of crumbled a little bit. And then there was like just a tunnel essentially
Oh.
that they found back there. So whether that's true or not, again, who
Hmm.
knows? But I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to have little tunnels around. But and then the last thing I just wanted to talk about was what's known as the cursed book. So
Oh.
there was essentially the story was that they had this book from the Institute that was cursed, and anybody that read it at minimum went crazy, like
Oh.
driven to madness by the contents,
Hmm.
because the contents of the book were so just horrible, like to another level. Even though these people are in this world, it was like just not good, so bad that it drove them crazy. A
Hmm.
couple of people, and trigger warning here, I think it was 4 people, also reportedly read the book and committed suicide as well. So that's part of the
Interesting.
rumor. Yeah, and it's also, so it's this cursed book. The Whitewater Library actually has it, or they say that they have it like on lock and key, like in
Interesting.
the
Okay.
basement, even to this day.
Yeah. That was one of my
Spoiler.
questions, was if it still exists.
Yes. So, spoiler, I watched a
Hmm.
video about this cursed book. The
Hmm.
library, or one of the ladies, I don't know if she worked at the library, if she was just like a Whitewater historian or something, preservation society, I don't know. She brought out like, this is what the cursed book is, and it is from that time, and it's like a black leather cover. It's big, like it's bigger than your normal size book, you would think. It has a lock on it, and the like edge of the pages are red, so it's like black, red, and then it has like a symbol of a cross, a heart with thorns around it on the front. She opens the book and shows us that it's just a Latin hymnal book that was donated at the time. So it's just like, it was big because people needed to read it from a far distance. But it just looked spooky and just adds to the lore, I guess. So you can actually, and Anderson Library is the library on campus, and they do have this Latin hymnal book from the 1800s that they do store in the basement because it's old, and you can actually ask them, and you can see it essentially.
Oh,
so
did you ever go see it?
No, I didn't know that. I thought at that time that the book was long gone or something like that, I think. So I didn't, but I was kind of curious. I mean, I don't think that it's actually like the cursed.
Right. So do you think it's like a different book, or you just think that all those were rumors?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of this is obviously all like, who knows?
Conjecture?
It could be 100%. It could be bits and pieces. It could be none of it's true. Who knows? So anyway, this is all for the reason why Whitewater got its name, Second Salem. Really it's the spiritualist schools, the witches' cemeteries, haunted towers, cursed lakes, murderous hymn book, all of that. And there's a really good brewery and restaurant that's called Second Salem Brewery in Whitewater. Would highly recommend if you go there, and they sort of, dig into the lore. Like they kind of like, they like this side of it. So they kind of base their restaurant off of it. And
is it like vibey? Like witchy
it's not
vibey?
It's not overly vibey, I would say.
It
like
that would be cool.
It's just, they kind of just like embrace it, I guess, in general. Not like, I don't know. But it's a good spot. It's a good place to eat. So anyway, that was what I had to tell you about Whitewater and the Second Salem.
Interesting. So I definitely like hearing that it's called Second Salem. I definitely pictured that there were women that were like executed for being witches. So it's interesting to hear that it was just kind of more so about all the different happenings there.
But there were like executions and poisonings and murders and stuff too.
Yeah, but it
not
wasn't
for
just
being.
Like they weren't like accusing people of being witches and then killing them.
And that's just like, again, the evolution of the time period of like the 1690s being like, nope, killed the witches. And then, then it was like, well, maybe we're a little bit more open, but obviously you're not going to get away with murder, and whether you're a witch or not. So,
interesting.
Yes. So shout out Warhawks, go Warhawks. I actually was trying to find, I was going to try to find like a Whitewater shirt or something, and I'm pretty sure I don't have any anymore, which is interesting. It's a good school. I definitely always felt like a little bit of a vibe in general on campus there, and a lot of my friends did too. But who knows? As we've been discussing,
what year your campus, like some of the buildings were built, or like what year the school was established? I'm just curious if like there was any overlap in the timing of that as well. Yeah.
So the Morris Building in Whitewater was demolished in 1961.
Okay.
They did move the Morris Institute in 1946, so before that, it moved to Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, and converted in the 1970s into, again, just a bit more, just kind of scaled back on the medium and seance stuff. But it is still in operation in Wauwatosa. And then let me see when the campus was built. It looks like around like the 60s, based on what I could tell.
And so you are saying like this school building is the same land that the institute was on?
The cemetery is the same land. The school building is like not too far from the campus. It's like one of the main drags of it, where the building was, but within the triangle, the witch's triangle. So I know. So for the longest time, there was a building that I had some classes in, because it kind of looked like this Morris Pratt Institute building. In my head, I just like was like, well, this is still it. And then when I
Oh,
looked
okay.
at when I've been doing research on this, I don't know, it just was it's kind of like got vines on it and stuff, so it
Hmm.
gave a little bit more of an eerie vibe there. And then I was like, wait a second. And when I was looking into this last night, I'm like, oh nope, that was not the Morris Pratt.
Mm.
That building
See,
was
but
taken
that's like
down.
exactly how rumors get started, because that's
Mm-hmm.
easy to believe that or like think that. And similar to what we were talking about with like the Sheboygan Asylum, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, people just kind of relate the two things, and then one person says it to one other person, and then it just keeps on
Yep.
going
Yep.
till everybody believes
Exactly.
it.
I know, it's like the game of telephone.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's just going to get changed down the line in bits and pieces. And yeah, so anyway, I just always found this interesting, and it brought back a lot of the research that I did. A lot of students at UW Whitewater have done like projects on this, or like videos, like people in media doing documentary style
Hmm.
stuff with it. There's a lot of interesting stuff on YouTube around it. So yeah, now you got to learn about my alma mater.
I would be
And
curious for the listeners if they could let us know if they believe in ghosts or not.
yes, I'm curious. And also, if you are a current or former war hawk, let me
Hmm.
know if you ever had any spooky, unexplainable, weird vibes, just anything that
Yeah.
you experienced while on campus. I'm just curious. Um, we can add to the lore if we want.
Hmm. Maybe we could read your comment next episode
Yes, that
if
would be
anybody leaves one.
fun. Yeah.
We've been
When
loving seeing the comments. Not that we have like a million or anything, but for the people that did leave comments, we appreciate you. And it's
and the
just
people
fun
that
to
have been
see.
listening, people that
Hmm.
have been listening and rating as well. Obviously, it's still early days for this all. We've only been launched for about a week at the time of this recording,
Yeah.
but it's exciting to see. Um, yeah, keep us posted. Or else, if you have a current hyperfixation that you're currently looking into and going down these rabbit holes about, let
Hmm.
us know. I do think it would be fun. We kind of talked about this, like if you comment on it, maybe like once a month we would do a listener hyperfixation or
That'd be
something,
cool.
like their topic to do it. So drop it in the comments. We have an Instagram. It's linked in. It'll be linked in the show notes here. We have a Gmail, TikTok. Am I missing
Yeah.
anything? A cursed book.
Um, are you putting the TikTok and the email in the notes too?
Or
Or you
in the
said,
description, yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay,
For
okay.
each
So
episode.
yeah,
Yep.
send us your thoughts.
So now you learned more about UW Whitewater, and that's it for this week's rabbit hole. Next week, do we have any hints, Danny?
I mean, it's spooky. I'll give you that
Okay.
much.
All right, perfect. So we'll see where that takes us. But until then, stay curious. Let us know what you think, and we will see you next time.
Bye
Bye.
bye.